Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another great episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com. And today I have a very special guest. His name is Jonte Hall. Hey, Jonte, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Definitely excited to have you here today, and cannot wait to dive into having this interview and conversation with you. And before we get started, I'm going to give the listeners and viewers a little bit about your background, because I think it's very, powerful message within your history. And so we'll definitely get more into that in a few. So let me just kind of introduce you to our guest. So Jonte, he stands tall at 5'2", and during his early years, he was often told to quit pursuing his aspirations of becoming a professional basketball player. He would hear, "You're not growing any much, give it up." But he had bigger plans on his own. After many tryouts, rejections led to his height, not necessarily the skills. With just $200 to his name and last hope, he gave it all he had and became the first shortest player in history for the world famous Harlem
Globetrotters.
Now that's a trailblazers. After playing with the organization for over 10 years, he transitioned his years into becoming a motivational speaker to pursue his life purpose. This day, he travels and visits schools nationwide to deliver the message of dreaming big and never giving up, no matter the size of the obstacles. His message to us is, as long as you have a heart to stand tall, you're not too small. I love that. So,
thanks, brother.
Yeah, man, definitely. I want to, I'm very interested to know about that journey. Before we dive into that, though, I want to know about where are you originally from, and what is your upbringing as a kid?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, the inner city, dangerous neighborhoods, seeing a lot, offer drugs, offer to do drugs, offer to sell it, seeing a lot of drug transactions, the violence, of course, and I had a lot of friends that was into that too, man. And it was tough to be in that environment and want to pursue your dream, because it's so easy to get caught up in the peer pressure, seeing that your friends doing the stuff that's not right. So it was so easy to get involved, but my heart was big, and I knew what I wanted to do in life. And I stayed focused on my dream, and that was to play basketball. Yeah. And again, I could have easily went left, but I stayed straight on the straight path. So
right.
growing up in the city was definitely tough, man.
Yeah. So and I think a lot of people might relate to sometimes saying, well, I'm in this community, in these circumstances, in this neighborhood, and even if I'm trying to go right, everything's pulling me left. And so what was one thing or a few things that you were doing to kind of stay focused, and not necessarily get into a lot of that, or did you end up going into that and then you got salvaged from either drugs or violence or any of that stuff?
Now, thank God, through the grace of God, the universe, I never got caught up in that. Just having a strong foundation of my family, my mom and dad kept me off the streets. They gave me the do's and don'ts at an early age, and what kept me focused was basketball. I received my first basketball at the age of 6 years old. I took it everywhere I went, and right there I fell in love with basketball. So that helped me, stay straight and not go left. So having good parents, having good friends, positive friends that was doing either better than me or just as what I'm doing, you know. And that kept me focused, and just the love of the game of basketball. Started playing organized basketball at the age of 9 years old. So again, I knew I wanted to play professional basketball, and I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna let nothing stop me.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Something that came to mind, and maybe you can give me your point of view now that you're all grown, and looking back when you were introduced to basketball or were given the first basketball at 6. A lot of times, I think that people, or kids, they're obviously looking up for their parents, right? And then they pretty much reflect on a lot of things that parents are doing. And so, I guess my question to you is, how critical is it the involvement of parents on a kid's life to get very involved with them, number one, not just in hey, go to school and do your homework kind of stuff, more so in let me put you in some sort of sport or get you involved in something than just, go to school, come back, watch TV, play games, whatever the case may be, right? Because I feel like specifically when we're looking at neighborhoods that are not so well diverse, right? I want to get your opinion of how critical is it to get your kids involved on sports or anything of any interest, music, art, whatever the case may be.
You know what? A lot of kids doesn't have parents, and it's tough. It's tough. Trying to put myself in their shoes and not having a positive role model in their household. So it's like, I guess they could turn to the teachers, grandparents, friends, parents. But it's very important to have that role model in your house, and like a father figure, like a mom figure. And it's very important, like, for them, like, to promote that, to stay active, to stay, it doesn't necessarily has to be sports, like you said, entertainment, music, art. So yeah, it's very important for, like, to have that growing up. My mom and dad I grew up, with both of my parents, and I'm blessed, to have that. And they kept me focused, they kept me striving and motivating me. That's what we need as kids. We need the motivation and somebody that believes in us. So it's
Yeah.
very, very, very important to have that.
Yeah, got you. At any point, did it cross your mind that maybe you were going to end up in some negative habits or just falling to that crowd? Because the other thing you mentioned is, having obviously your parents are good role models. The other one was having friends that were either better than you or just like you that had a different drive. And so that comes down to the next question, which is, who you surround yourself with. It's a big aspect of that. And sometimes you get drawn into this community, you get drawn into these gangs or drugs, or temptation comes into play, right? So did you get any of that at any point?
Yes, actually I did. I had friends, before my friends found out, like, what I wanted to do in life, of course they wanted me to go, in the direction they were going. And that was like drugs or violence and stuff like that. And then when they found out that I wanted to play basketball, they said, you know what, Jonte, this is not for you. I'd rather for you to stay on the basketball court and pursue your dream and try to become a professional basketball player. So yes, it did hit me. It did hit me at an early age, like, okay, oh man, should I do what my friends doing, or
Yeah.
should I just go straight? And like you said, that peer pressure is amazing, and it can really take over you to make you do bad things. So you got to have that mental, man. That mental plays a major role.
Yeah. How do you deal with that at a young age, right? Or whether even you're in your teens? I think there's a lot more pressure probably in your teens because to an extent we tend to become independent more so. And now, whether you're driving yourself to school, if you have a car, where you're taking public transportation, you feel like you're more independent, yet there's also a lot more influences and there's a lot more of that peer pressure. So how do you deal with those things, to stay on track of your dreams?
I mean, I can't speak for every kid, but when I
Yeah.
say I really love basketball, I really loved it. And at an early age, even back then, I wasn't gonna let nothing stand in the way of that, becoming a professional basketball player. So it's very important to know who you are growing up, know what you want to do in life, and if you're not strong mentally, in that area, I think you could become victim to the streets. Like, you could, go left. you go do drugs, you go do violence, so I think it's very important to know what you want to do at an early age.
Yeah, and I think part of it too. The other thing that it's a message that I would probably more so reinforce here is that finding that passion, like finding something, whether it's basketball, whether it's art, whether it's drawing, it doesn't matter. Like find something that obviously is more on the right side, positive stuff that you can do to keep
Absolutely.
you busy and to keep you more or less out of trouble, right? And just create that passion. And I love what you said, know who you are. Like,
yeah.
I believe that we are all grown with a passion. When we came to this world, we came with an idea of, even if we don't know it at that moment, we already have a purpose, right? And so you got to be able to kind of find out what that purpose might be. It could be, again, in your case was, you wanted to get into basketball. You wanted to get that. That was part of one of your phases. And you wanted to definitely do that. So being able to understand who are you really, because the person that you are right now is not necessarily the person you're going to be tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
And then the other one is, with that in mind, is try to understand that where I want to be, is as critical as the journey that I'm in right now. And so the decisions that I make right now, whether right or wrong, left or right, they're going to impact that person that I want to become in the near future, right? And so for you went ahead and kind of put all of that together, which is amazing from that perspective. I want to know about, the part of that peer pressure, or part of the thoughts that people were telling you that, hey, you're too short, you don't have the height, you're not going to grow anymore, you don't have what it takes to become a professional basketball player. Like, that can definitely demoralize you from pursuing that dream. And it seems like for you, maybe you did go through some of that, and I want to know about that, except you kept pushing, right? So tell me more about that.
So when I started playing organized basketball at the age of 9, I heard, you too small, why are you out here? But I kept going. From 9 to when I got to high school, I heard the same thing. The coach wanted to play me in varsity in high school, but I was really, really frail as far as my body stature. And, I admit, I had some growing to do at the time. I got to 9th grade and I played junior varsity. And again, hearing the naysayers, I like to call them naysayers, hearing the people saying, you're too small, give it up, you're not going to play, you're not going to last long on the team, you're going to get cut. So, and I kept proving them wrong. Okay, I heard this, okay, and as I got in my adult life, so before I got with the Globetrotters, well, before that, when I got to college, I wasn't recruited. I had the right schools from high school, colleges to come see me. I even had to boost up my height to make, to try to draw some attraction, try to draw some attraction. And of course, that didn't work. So I walked on to a community college. It was a community college in Baltimore County, and again, I wasn't recruited. I had to walk on the team, and I didn't play much. I didn't get a lot of playing time. Of course, my height played a major role, and right there, that could have easily diminished my my confidence. And it's like, but I kept striving for some reason. I kept striving, and I didn't listen. I didn't listen to the naysayers, and I ended up playing 1 year of school basketball in college, 1 year, and I had to drop out, take care of my mother. So I had to put basketball on hold.
Yeah.
So I get more into that, but I handle that. The naysayers always, like, I still go through that. Guys telling me I'm too short. I said, man, tell me something else. Tell me something I don't know. Right. So so mentally I was already strong even when I was younger.
Yeah. Wow. And besides, obviously, the idea of becoming a basketball player from an early age, that was a driving factor. Was there anything else in your mind that also helped you with that driving factor? A lot of people might refer to as, what was your why, or what was your purpose, right? Obviously, basketball was one of them. Was there anything else helping you with that?
And I'm still like this to this day. Just trying to get financially stable to take care of my family. Take care of my, I have a newborn son. Trying to provide for him at an early age until he get older. And take care of my mom. My mom has MS. Taking care of my household. Just trying to get financially stable. So that kind of motivated me back then. Okay, I know becoming a professional basketball player, you get paid to play.
Yeah.
And so that was my motivation as well. I wanted to play first, and then I wanted to provide for my family along the way. So that was my motivation also.
Got you. So talking about the many, I guess, downfalls, or the many, no, you're not gonna do this, or you're not gonna do that. I think that's a very important message to for anyone to listen to, and it doesn't matter what you're pursuing, right? It comes down
Absolutely.
to, just because you get somebody tells you no once, or twice or three times or even four times, like, really there's no number, right? I mean, if we go back to some of the great inventors, they've taken many no's throughout the history, and still continue with that persistence, right? And so I guess the message there, more so than anything, is to make sure that if you want something as bad as you want it, you got to go after it regardless, right? And that was you. You were like,
Yep.
you know what? I'm not going to allow my height or the opinion of other people define me, who I am going to be, right?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that you did. So what happened to when you came to finally say, you know what, they signed you up and you became a professional basketball player? A lot of people see that as overnight success. For you, you were struggling this since literally
Yes. Yes.
6 or 9, right? It was like, it
Yep.
was that
Yeah.
whole journey.
Yep. So so before I became a professional basketball player, I had to work a regular job. Like I said, I had to drop out of school, do a 9 to 5, making $7 an hour to provide for my mom, and and trying to make a good living for us. So I had to put basketball on hold, and I hated that I had to do that, but I had to survive. I had to survive. So I did that all through my 20s, until I got like 26, 27. So in between that, I started trying out different professional leagues, and at this time I was getting desperate just to play basketball. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry
Yeah,
about that.
you're good.
And then just prior to that, just having to provide and trying out. I got desperate, and I didn't had a lot of people tell me give up. Friends, oh, Jonte, you need to give up, man. You get too old. And I was only 25, 26. And I was close to giving up basketball. And I was at my job, emailed the Washington Generals, the Globetrotters opponents that we played them every night. And he gave me an opportunity. I wasn't getting a lot of money. And he sent me a contract. And he said, Jonte, I had to send some video footage of me too. And I did it, man. And Globetrotters liked me so much, they gave me a tryout. So I played with them for a year and a half, and I played with the Globetrotters for 8 years. So altogether, about nine and a half, 10 years, I've been traveling the world.
Yeah.
So I never gave up, man. Never, never bow down to the naysayers telling me give up. And it was amazing journey.
Yeah, and again, how was the reward, right? I mean, think about going back again and thinking about it, it's like a dream come true,
Yes,
true.
yeah.
And again, it was one of those things. I'm sure that you were working so hard for it, and you finally got it. And I guess one thing that a lot of people I think about it is that they're so focused on the end result, which is definitely good. Yet I think the end result is as critical and as important as enjoying the journey. And it seems to me that you were enjoying the journey, right?
Yes.
Even with everything, like, you were not listening to all these negative thoughts or people. Like, you were enjoying that. And I think that becomes more rewarding, right, when you get that end result.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, I'm not going to say everything was peaches and cream. Like, I had my moments where I was dealing with anxiety, depression, meaning like far as like wanting it to happen when you want it to happen. And that's life. It's not going to happen when we all want it to happen. I like to call it pit stops. We all go through a situation where we don't belong, where we feel like we have too much talent, too much education. So we all go through a pit stop. We all go into a situation like, might gotta get like clean bathrooms for a living, janitorial work, just to the universe test us. We got to develop our strength, our passion. We got to show the universe and show God that we can handle this test. I like to call them pit stops. We can handle this pit stop. It's just to make me stronger. So I had to get that in my mind, my mindset, that it's only a pit stop, Jonte. I mean, you're not going to end up in here. You're not going to work here for the rest of your life.
Mm.
So I had to get that in my head, and the anxiety and the depression went away. And I started focusing on that and say, you know what, I'm going to do this for right now. And I know I'm going to play basketball.
Yeah. And it was that certainty and that determination, like,
yep.
This is going to happen, right? I want to talk about that because I think a lot of it, anything that we want or anything that we want to be able to accomplish, really all comes down to, in my opinion, with the amount of determination and the amount of certainty that you have. Now, that you cannot, I don't think you can just kind of turn that, switch on and off. It takes time to really build that muscle, which is the brain muscle, right? And so for you, you talked a lot about, having that mental health and that positive mental view of different aspects.
Yeah.
What are the things that you did either growing up as a kid or even through college or things of that nature? What are some of the things you did to really grow your mind positively?
That's a great question, by the way. Just basically praying. Like, I don't know everybody. I mean, everybody has their own religion,
Mm-hmm.
but just praying, man, and praying to the higher being, whoever you believe in, and asking for courage, for faith, and for patience. And I had that growing up. My mom taught me and my brother how to pray even back then, So I kept that method. I kept that until I got, older that I am now, and I still pray. And just having faith, man, and just having faith and believing in yourself, believing in your talent. And I know it's not easy. It's hard. It's hard, but at the end of the tunnel, it's going to be a light.
Yeah. Let's talk about believing in yourself, because I think that's another one of those where we as people forget to believe in ourselves, right? And aside from that, we're always looking for somebody else's opinion or validation on ourselves. And that can be very, very kind of a dangerous, right? Because again, you might be getting that person that's giving you that opinion to say, hey, Jonte, you're not tall enough, dude. I care for you. I'm telling you, you're not tall enough. Just stop doing that. And you might believe in that because you don't believe in yourself. And so turning that aspect of that, like, I believe that you got to work on yourself, self-love, self-care, believing in yourself, right? And how do you kind of allow that to come into play with your life? Because again, we are always looking for validation from somebody else, and we forget to look at ourselves first.
I kind of had that growing up. I was depending on somebody validation, like getting somebody validation, get somebody approval. And I was like that all the way into my adult life. I said, okay, let me just, forget how I feel. Let me just try to get somebody else's opinion and make sure that I'm doing a good job. And, it could be a job, it could be at work. And again, that's getting back to what we talked about, knowing who you are, knowing your worth, your worth. And I didn't know my worth at the time, and I needed somebody validation, needed somebody approval. And then I'm still learning to this day. You just got to have that mind frame where as though I know my worth, I know what I'm good at, what great at, and I don't need nobody else's validation. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and no matter what, I'm giving them my all, and I'm great at it, and I don't need nobody else's approval.
Yeah.
And so we have to build it. I mean, stuff like that you can't teach.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff like that you can't teach. So like you have to just turn off everything, turn off your phone, and just look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love myself. It's self-love, it's self-confidence. Take the time out and talk to yourself. And that's how you get better at knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Knowing who you are. Yep.
Yeah. And I think it was Les Brown. He said, sometimes the most important and smart conversation you may ever have is the one with yourself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Right? And when you think about it, I mean, people might think, what, you talk to yourself? Like, are you crazy kind of thing?
Yeah.
So it's like, again, not paying attention to that is like, yeah, maybe I am, except it's helping me get better, right? Becoming that better person. So
Yep.
Again, being able to do that, and I know that for a fact myself, like I implemented something similar to that, where now I do see myself in the mirror, and I'll be talking to myself.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, like you said, this is not something that you just pick up like that. You have to learn that, because a lot of people, again, you maybe be looking at yourself in the mirror to put a makeup or whatever the case may be, or comb your hair or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yet when you are in front of the mirror talking to yourself, it is weird. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me tell you that. It is weird.
It's very weird. It is
right?
weird.
It is. And people would say you are crazy, except once you start doing that and you start practicing that and you start getting better at that, man, it feels so good.
It does. It does. You're smiling more, like, you start to get confidence in yourself.
Right. And part of that, it comes back to, I think, again, working on that mind, a couple of different things. Number one is that self-love and self-care, except it's also building your self-esteem, right?
Absolutely.
We sometimes, again, are looking for somebody else to do that, yet you can do it yourself,
Yeah, you can.
Right. And so that's pretty awesome. Now, are there any lessons that you can go back to that you can look back now and say, wow, that was a lesson. I didn't see it then, now I can see it now. I believe there's no failures or any issues or anything of that stuff, right? I feel like they're more like lessons, or it's an educational experience. And so I think we all go through this as we're growing up. Is there something that maybe back in the day, you saw like a failure or something negative perhaps, yet you realize today, no, you know what, that's actually was a blessing in the sky, and it is a lesson, and it is an educational experience?
Not really, but I will say this. So I did the Globetrotters for 8 years, right? So I wish, now I'm a motivational speaker. Now I'm talking to kids and stuff like that. I wish I could have started my first year with the team, which was like 8-9 years ago. So that's the only thing I regret. I would have been better, more established and all that stuff. That's the only thing that I regret. Building my brand, building a platform for myself as Jonte, not as the too-tall Harlem Globetrotter. I wish I could have built that person my first year.
Got it. Yeah. Let's talk about your motivational speaking career now. So tell me more about, is this high schools, middle schools, or pretty much all over, just schools in general? Who do you speak to?
Okay, so this is my logo, by the way. This is my logo. Jonte, not so small. It's a self-description of me as a kid, spinning the basketball. Basketball is my gift. I have a backpack on my back. That means we need knowledge in everyday life. Shadow coming from my heart. That means there's a big person in all of us. And then the not so small, I touched on it earlier. The not so small means it doesn't just target height. It target like people that's not getting that job that they deserve, because they might say you don't have enough education. So they saying you too small. So I'm not just targeting height, but mainly, brother, I'm going into I want to get the kids while they're young. So elementary and middle. Elementary and middle school. But I do all ages. I do adults. So but I target middle school and elementary. Yeah.
No, and again, I think that's there's always people speaking to the adults, which is good. Obviously, we all need that. Yeah. I don't think there's that many people that are speaking to the younger generation, which is really the future of this world. So being able to tap into them and talk to them and really giving them more of that, the ability to know and think that, and more so be certain that they could get whatever they want. And there's really no obstacles as long as they continue to work and they continue to put in the effort. I think that's definitely very important in their lives, brother. Right?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah. So that's really good that you're doing that. Now, I like the logo and the idea of that, right? I mean,
thanks, man.
Yeah, that's not too small, because you can see that in so many different aspects, and I love the fact that it's not just in height. You know, a lot of times, again, it goes back to that self-doubt or what we're able to do, our potential. I love Les Brown, and he mentioned another thing, and this was about a couple of kids that kept pushing this guy, and they were sitting him down on the bus, and he would get up and they will sit him down, he would get up and they will sit him down, and then they held him down, and the kid is kind of smiling, and the other kids that were bullying him, he said, "What are you smiling about? We're not letting you get up, you're sitting down." And he said, you know, you might be holding me down, but in my mind, I'm standing tall. And when
Wow,
you
I
think
like that.
about that, that's
That's deep.
huge,
That's
right?
deep.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Because again,
Yeah.
is this your mind? It's like when
Yep.
you know deep down in your mind
Who
that
you
you
are.
are exactly
Yep.
who you are and you are that person. It doesn't matter what
Yep.
anybody's doing, you're gonna, prevail, right?
Amen.
And
Amen.
yeah, so that's one thing that I was thinking about in connecting with you because of that. Is like I see that connection. I think that's very,
I
very
appreciate that.
amazing.
Thank you,
So
brother. I appreciate it.
yeah, no, definitely. And so what's next for you? Like besides, you're doing public speaking. What are some of the other things that you want to get into?
I'm trying to get into. I want to do a. I want to do a book. I want to do a children's book. I
Nice.
want to do a like a book for adults, people that's of all ages.
Yeah.
I want to eventually do a biopic.
Mm.
So yeah, man. So I'm and then a cartoon, probably a cartoon.
That'll be
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for
man.
sure.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So I
So
mean,
just being on my entrepreneur stuff, man. That's all.
yeah. You know what? Let's talk about that for a second. Like, what has it? What is that life like, right? To be an entrepreneur, because, I think more so now around this time of age is a perfect thing to tap into it. Except it's not an easy thing, right? I know that for a
Yeah.
fact it's not. And so, what would be some of your tips if people wanted to, that are listening to this, and maybe they want to get into entrepreneurship, they don't know how to go about it? What would be maybe some tips on how to do that, some habits too, that people can probably utilize for that?
I'm just starting myself, but my first thing I've gotten was a mentor.
Mm.
So a mentor, life coach. So my mentor is his name is David Mauser. You probably heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's my mentor. He's been my mentor for about 3 or 4 years now.
Nice.
And and when I have questions, he answers my questions and stuff like that. Again, I'm still learning the entrepreneurship, and I'm loving the new journey.
Yeah.
I stepped away from the Globetrotters
Yeah.
last year.
Okay, got you. So brand new.
Steps brand new,
Yeah.
man. So I'm loving the new journey, brother.
Yeah. And you know what? That's another thing too that I want to maybe touch on. That a lot of times people believe that just because you're an entrepreneur, you have this glamorous life and everything's good
No.
and everything's shiny. And the answer to that is no. Number one. The second thing is that where I believe that many entrepreneurs may go wrong is that they want to do it themselves, or they feel like they can do it themselves. And I always said, you gotta get a mentor. You have to get a life coach. You gotta get somebody that can help you. And I myself have a mentor too, and a couple of different mentors, and so I think that's part of the journey as being part of this. And people say, well, why would you pay somebody to tell you what to do? And I go back to that, and I question that, and I say, well, why would you go to school and get a degree, whether it's a master's, bachelor's, or whatever, and you're gonna have a teacher that is teaching you more theory than anything, not necessarily principles out in the world? You're paying for that. You're still paying for that. And I'm not bashing education by no means, because I have a master's myself. I'm a firm believer of education, except now I'm a firm believer of the non-traditional education, mentorship, networking events, getting, buying books, reading, all of that stuff, right? All of that costs money. And I think that, one thing that you mentioned too is that you're still learning. I don't think you're ever going to end learning.
That's
you're
true.
always going to learn, right?
Yep.
And that's part of the journey, right?
Yep. It's part of the journey. Yeah. It's part of the journey. And it's part of the excitement. It's part of your future self.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. And you talked about something. I'm just gonna share. Might as well take the opportunity for that. So I just came out with a book too, and it's called "How We Became Entrepreneurs: Follow Our Leads," and it's very similar to what you're talking about. And part of that is what is an entrepreneur? How did you tap into that? And because again, a lot of people want to get into that, and it's a good way for people to know more about it. Because if it is for you, it's definitely is for you. So
you know what? Bro, you know what, brother? You showing off your books. So
yeah,
show off my books, brother.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
So this is my book right here. I co-authored this book.
Keep Smiling.
Called Keep Smiling. Yep. And look, co-author, picture in the back.
Nice.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. I have my own chapter in here. Then I have this other book that I'm in, Spiritual Fitness Survivor.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
I have my own chapter in here too, man. So like I said, I'm on my entrepreneur stuff, man.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yep.
actually, that's how we got connected through the Kids Smiling community.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
I think that also is, again, it's another great way to really,
Platform. Yep.
right, that platform. And also it spread a lot of positivity,
Mm.
smiles and things
Yep.
throughout. And, because we need more of that for sure, especially
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
let me ask you a couple of things before we wrap this up.
Okay.
How can people connect with you if they wanted to connect with you?
Facebook, Jonte Hall. My name Jonte, Jonte. Last name is Hall. That's on Facebook. Instagram, Jonte Not So Small. Twitter, Jonte Not So Small.
Okay.
And yes, that's all my outlets. Or my email, Jonte Not So Small at gmail.com.
Awesome.
So yes.
Cool. Awesome. And how are you dealing with the whole public speaking right now? Being that schools, are you doing more on Zoom or
Mm-hmm.
are what is the agenda for that?
So I have a manager now that to help me along the way. Again, doing this entrepreneur stuff, man, you need don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I signed with this manager company, Imaj LLC, Eric Gaines. He handled all my bookings and all that stuff. But we're about to set up the virtual stuff, the virtual like you said, Zoom and all that good stuff. So we doing that right now.
Got it. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I love your message, and I want to get one more from you. So one of the things that you're talking about, and you want to be able to live with the listeners is stand tall, never give up, right?
Yep.
So can you elaborate more on that?
Yes. So my quote I live by: as long as your heart stands tall, you're not so small. So that means if your heart, long as it's in your heart, whatever you want to do in life is in your heart. Just follow that heart, no matter what it is. It could be basketball, it could be football, it could be a lawyer, you could be a nurse, you could be a doctor. Again, as long as your heart stands tall, nothing is too big for you. You could do anything you put your mind to. And I live by that every day.
That's awesome. And with that, I think to kind of emphasize on that too is kind of like you can tie that into like success, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of times don't think of success as a monetary figure. I mean, whatever, that's going to come regardless, right? Except sometimes people are chasing the money, which then that doesn't work out. And so like you mentioned something like if in your heart or your success is to be a teacher, a housewife, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever that might be, a janitor at the school because you love, you love that. That's what you want to be.
That's what you love,
yeah, follow that, right? Because then that becomes that success. That becomes what you follow in your heart. And so, and then everything else will come, right? And so I think, when people talk about defining success, to me, success is whatever is making you happy at that point in your life, right?
I agree with that. 1,000%.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. So if you were to give us one advice in terms of what people can do right now, people that might be going through some sort of challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what would be that one advice that they can start implementing to overcome that challenge?
Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, who am I? What do I stand for? And once you start feeling this, once you feel like you getting that voice back, like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. Knowing yourself. Sit in the mirror, talk to yourself, take a deep breath. Because I still deal with anxiety, I still deal with distress, and sometimes you just gotta take time away from your phone, and get more comfortable with, with yourself, what you're trying to do in life. And just ask yourself questions. So what you talking to yourself? It's to better you, and watch how good you feel. You do that for like a week or two, watch how you see stuff clear, and watch how you have what you want to do in life just by talking.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely reflect, talk. Just be in that moment now. That relax. And no, I love that. Are there any specific things that you do now, maybe on a day-to-day basis, to just kind of keep you in this very positive mindset? Any habits?
So I'm glad you asked me that, man, because I wanted to touch on that. I went back to a 9-to-5. It's like I'm starting all over again. Like far as like the Globetrotters, how before that I had to work a regular job. So now I'm back working a 9 to 5. So success, again, we talked about that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you work in a 9 to 5. It's only a pit stop. It's only a pit stop. So I'm going back. It's like I'm going back, but I have a platform now for myself. I have like a name, a worldwide name. So I know what I'm doing is to provide for my family. Again, it's only a pit stop. So I'm seeing stuff different from back then. Back then, I used to get mad about the pit stop. Damn, now I want to play basketball. But now I understand to get where I got to get at for my next journey in life, I have to do this. So I'm back working at the pit stop and 9 to 5. And that's what I'm doing, man, until I could do this full time, my speaking.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. And I'm enjoying the journey, even though it's not where I want to be at, but I'm enjoying it. I'm accepting it because it's only a pit stop.
Yeah. And part of that is embracing it, right? Like you said, you just surrender. You surrender to the process. And that's what you've done. You surrender to the process. A lot of people are afraid of doing that. They're afraid of taking that leap of faith. And, it's like, well, I'm going forward and I'm taking two steps back. And they're like, it's not the direction that I want to go. Yet, if you look at it from that framework, then maybe it looks, in a different aspect. If you look at it from the other framework, which is what you're looking at it from, that lens of, this is part of the journey. I need to be able to do that pit stop and be here temporarily as I'm building up to the next big move that I'm going to have, right? That reminds me of this, and we'll go. That's like a whole show that I can probably have. I'm also a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and so one thing that remind me of is the hero's journey, right? And the hero's journey is really that, you're going like you're part of that, where you're going through all those different elements, right? And you have to take kind of like a step back to have that death, not necessarily dying physically, but you have the death to be reborn to something bigger and better and greater, right?
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're doing. And as you're going through that, you're also helping out people by motivating them, by talking to them, by speaking to them, by giving them information that they can use now. And so I really, want to say thank you for all that you're doing, because I can see you're doing so many great things, and we need more people like you that can definitely do that. And when we talked about really overcoming obstacles, you definitely overcame one huge one. To be, people want to be in your place where they can play professionally, and even after they said you cannot do it,
Exactly.
So that's amazing.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, Jonte, before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to share with our audience before I let you go?
Again, I live by that quote: "As long as your heart stands tall, you're not so small." So, again, don't worry about the pit stops. Just keep believing in yourself and have that confidence, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just accept your situation for that particular time, and it's going to happen.
And have faith. And you said it before. Have faith.
Yep.
Have faith, man.
Have faith. Yep.
Now, that's a good way to end this, and I love that. Yep. Stand tall. Never give up. Have faith.
There you go.
Keep pushing through. So, Jonte, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Awesome. And for the rest of you guys, please make sure that you tune in to this podcast, comment, like, share, tell everybody about You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, and stay tuned to the next interviews. I will talk to you next time. Have a good day. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you tuned in to this podcast. You can find me at Spreaker.com, where you can like and subscribe. And to learn more about myself and my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at Facebook under Cesar R. Espino. Once again, thanks for joining me. I am looking forward to having you at the next episode, and know that you truly can overcome anything.